दिख रहा है ब्रेन? Good morning, students. Today we are looking at the blood supply of the brain. First we'll start with the arterial supply, whatever is visible. So what you can see here is this vessel which is present on the surface of pons. This is basilar artery. Basilar artery is formed by the union of two vertebral arteries which are present alongside of medulla oblongata. In this case it's been broken. So this is the start of the vertebral artery at this horizontal plane in between the medulla and the pons. The vertebral arteries which were coming here were, if you remember, branches of the first part of subclavian artery. So the two arteries have entered from the foramen magnum and have travelled through the length of the medulla oblongata, and here they unite to form a single artery which is called as the basilar artery. This basilar artery, if you see, we can see a few branches. One branch is this branch which is called as the anterior inferior cerebellar artery. Anterior inferior, as the name suggests, it supplies the anterior inferior surface of the cerebellum. You can see here it goes towards the cerebellum. Second branch which we see here is this is the superior cerebellar artery, not present on this side. Yes, this is there. On both the sides one can see these two which we call superior cerebellar arteries. Superior cerebellar arteries also pass towards the superior surface of the cerebellum and supply the cerebellum. So this is we call it vertebro-basilar system of blood supply. So that is one supply. So vertebro-basilar system basically supplies the brainstem, that means the medulla oblongata, pons, cerebellum and part of the midbrain. Right? For the cerebrum we have another system which is coming here. You can see the cut end of these two arteries. This is the internal carotid artery. Internal carotid, if you remember from your head neck classes, was a terminal branch of the common carotid. When the common carotid bifurcated at the level of C4 vertebra, the one branch was external carotid which supplied the neck and the face, and the another branch was internal carotid which at once passes to the brain or to the bony surfaces. We have four parts of the internal carotid artery which is passing. The first part passing through the carotid sheath, that was the cervical part. Then a part of it enters into the petrous part of the temporal bone, that was the petrous part. Then the artery had entered into the cavernous sinus, was a content of the cavernous sinus, that was the cavernous part. And the fourth part is the cerebral part which is present at the base of the brain, and the first branch given by this artery is not visible, which is called ophthalmic artery. Ophthalmic artery enters through the optic canal into the orbit, single artery to supply the orbit. Now when we remove the brain we have to cut the internal carotid arteries. So these are the cut ends of the internal carotid arteries, and you see this artery immediately divides into branches. The one branch which you are seeing here, this is the posterior communicating artery. Are you seeing this tortuous branch on both the sides? This is the posterior communicating. The other two branches, one branch which passes medially from this is the anterior cerebral artery, and the main branch which is considered as a continuation, it is the middle cerebral artery. Right? Again, the three branches of internal carotid which are visible, one is the posterior communicating going downwards, another one anterior cerebral, and third one middle cerebral. Now there is a fourth branch also. Yes, it is visible in this case. This is the anterior choroidal artery, a small branch which is the choroidal branch, which the name says supplies to the choroid plexus. So internal carotid artery in the brain gives four branches. Now let us first talk about the anterior cerebral. If you see here, this anterior cerebral artery of one side passes upwards and medially. This is the artery of the other side, again passes upwards and medially. The two arteries have a small communicating branch which is called as the interior communicating artery. The small branch connects the two anterior cerebral arteries. After connection, they both run again parallel to each other, and one can see them if you remove this thing. The arteries are present over the surface of the corpus callosum. I can show you here. If you on the surface of the corpus callosum, the two arteries are running parallel to each other. Can't show you in this brain. Don't want to spoil it. I'll show you in the diagram, right? So the next branch is the middle cerebral. Can you see this middle cerebral artery? Passes laterally. It is present in the lateral sulcus, in the stem of the lateral sulcus, and here at the level of roughly at the insula, it divides into three branches. We call it trifurcation. One branch, two branch, and the third branch. The arteries, these branches, this run above to the orbital surface. This artery goes to the main supralateral surface, and this artery goes to a finger's breadth area on the inferior surface, right? So this is the trifurcation of the middle cerebral artery. Middle cerebral artery supplies mainly the supralateral surface. Now this branch, it is the posterior communicating, as the name suggests. This communicates with the branch of the basilar artery, right? So here it is arising from the internal carotid and is joining a branch from the basilar. This branch is called as the posterior cerebral. The terminal branches of the basilar is these two branches. These are the posterior cerebral. Earlier we were talking about cerebellar branches, the superior cerebellar and then inferior cerebellar. Now we have come to the posterior cerebral. So posterior cerebral receives the posterior communicating, so that here we have a polygonal shape of anastomosis, which is formed by both the systems, vertebrobasilar and the carotid system. This polygonal shape is called as the circle of Willis. Willis is the name of the scientist, Thomas Willis, who discovered it. So this is called, anatomical name can be circulus arteriosus. Right? So circle of Willis is a polygonal shape where all the arteries are anastomosing with each other. And this anastomosis, if we talk about this anastomosis, if we start from this, it is formed by the two posterior cerebral arteries on the posterior side. On the posterolateral, we have the two posterior communicating arteries. Anterolateral, we have the stem of the internal carotid plus a part of the middle cerebral, and anterolateral, we have the anterior cerebral, the two anterior cerebral arteries, and most anterior, the anterior communicating, right? Anterior communicating, the two anterior cerebrals, stem of the internal carotid, middle cerebral, posterior communicating, posterior cerebral. All of these together form this sulcus or anastomosis. Now, you see, brain is diffusely supplied by the blood vessels. Even it is only 2% of the body weight, but it receives around 20% of the oxygen supply. So this needs a very profuse rich blood supply. So what is the advantage of this anastomosis? You know, any anastomosis is functional or useful should a main artery get blocked. So here also, in case usually normal circumstances, the blood from the right side do not intermingle with the left side because both the arteries have their own blood stream they supply. But in case there is an obstruction of one artery or there is an intracranial rise of pressure in one artery, the blood from this side will go the other side, so that there is a very, you can say, an efficient collateral channel which is formed by this. So that is the importance of the circle of Willis. Now, The circle of Willis as such have two sets of branches. If we consider it as one, you can see these smaller branches arising from the circle of Willis on all sides. These are called as the central branches. Central branches are not named, they are very small, and each of them, when it arises from the any artery of the circle of Willis, they at once go deep down and enter into the substance of the brain, and they enter via perforating substances. In fact, if you remember, we have the three perforating substances, the two anterior perforating substances at this end, and there is a posterior perforated. So through these vessels, they enter into the substance of the brain and supply the hidden areas. Hidden areas means basal nuclei, thalamus, any other part, hypothalamus, and most of these arteries act as end arteries. That is, if they supply a particular area, they do not anastomose with any, and any case of hemorrhage will have necrosis of that part. So these are the central branches. Group of central branches we can discuss in theory.